Hi, this is Rabbi Young. Thank you for tuning in to the weekly video email. This week's Torah portion is Tetzaveh, and it's a little bit of a strange start to a Torah portion. It begins at the very end of Exodus chapter 27, the last two verses of chapter 27, and then it moves into chapter 28. And the last two verses of chapter 27 are the final touches on the building of the sanctuary that is described in the rest of chapter 27 and in last week's parsha. But I think the reason they want those two verses to be the beginning of a parsha instead of the end is so that they don't get lost, because it's about the Ner Tamid. And Mike Kibble is going to talk a little bit about the Ner Tamid this week at Brotherhood Shabbat, so I won't spoil that, but I do want to tell a story about a building of another sanctuary. It was a more modern sanctuary that one of the contractors in the congregation was very excited to design and build, and this contractor wouldn't let anyone else into the building while it was being built. They're very private about it, very excited to reveal it to everyone. And when the day came and the sanctuary was built, big windows on the walls of the sanctuary to let in natural light. But in the evening, when the sun set, there were no lights. And people were confused. How are we going to see? How are we going to see the prayer books? There's no light, there's no electricity, there are no candles, there's nothing to give us light. And so the contractor says, well, actually, there are these hooks on the wall. And all along the wall were about 200 separate hooks. And the contractor had 200 lanterns. And one lantern was given to anyone who would come into the sanctuary. So only when the congregation brought their own light was the sanctuary filled with light. But if the sanctuary had no people, no one to bring their lanterns, then they would be in the dark. That's exactly what happens with our sanctuary. We're going to keep the electric lights in our sanctuary. Don't worry about that. But when you come to our sanctuary, you fill it with light. Not necessarily literal light, but the light that you bring with your presence. Every Shabbat, every moment that you enter our sanctuary, whether it's a holiday or whether it's just to stop in and say hi or offer a blessing, your light comes into the sanctuary. And it is so important that you keep bringing that light to us. We look forward to seeing you this week at Brotherhood Shabbat and every week as we celebrate together, bringing our light into our community. Have a great week.